Interesting. Yeah, I'm aware of this
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
a lot of
Wait,
boys.
that you'll be called a pussy?
Not a pussy, but it's
Oh.
like you're kind of
It's
a little
like
beta-ish.
Yeah, it's looked down upon. It's like, oh, you had to ask. You couldn't just tell.
Okay, I've never heard like you couldn't just tell. Like I've never heard of that. I guess I have heard like the sentiment of like, I don't think I've heard pussy or like anything like that. I'm trying to think back in high school because it is like high school.
It feels like boys are expected to like study like the signs of like, oh, she looked at me. Oh, she put her
Or
hair behind
even
her
like
ear.
as a sign of confidence. It's like, you know. Another, I think a more extreme version is that you're getting, like you're making out with a girl. It's like, hey, can we have sex? Do you want to have sex? It's kind of like you're supposed to pick up on nonverbal cues, like your hand in places, and she like pushes it away.
I see what you mean.
So like kissing is, I would say, like the lightest version of that. It's like you can see the signs, and then do you just go for it, or do you say, hey, is it okay if I kiss you? Which is a very gentleman behavior, but kind of beta-ish.
No. Okay. Well. Okay. You're feeding into.
I should preface this by saying I was an incel growing up.
Okay. Okay. Truly?
Nah, but I consumed like incel culture, like teaching, but I was always aware like, okay, this is a little like dangerous, so I didn't like steer into it. But I think it does prey on like young boys growing up. Like,
Yeah.
the insecurity about
Yeah.
women, and it's like, oh, maybe I should just trust this guy who's telling me these things. And I think that's where a lot of guys that kind of split off into like the manosphere toxic masculinity, or they become like a little more self-aware. It's like, okay, some of the things they are saying might have some element of truth, but it seems like they blame the women more than like their own circumstances. Yeah, you come to a crossroad of, do I blame the women, or do I just, you know, try and work around like some of these things society has set up?
I do think it's okay. I have two tangents. The first one we're gonna go on to say is like I think it's crazy that there are such influence or men are so influenced by men when this entire conversation kind of comes down to women. Like, wouldn't you just consume more content from women talking about like their experiences with men to then understand them more? Which I would say is what you see when men are generally a little more well-rounded. Like they're like, oh yeah, like I had a sister or like a mother or whatever I was really close to, or I'm consuming content, whatever. But a lot of the times they don't, because I think like you try to go for relatability and like you find content like creators who are men or like whatever, whoever's talking about it on a podcast kind of thing.